In this video, we're talking some big changes at the Disneyland Resort in regards to the Tarzan Treehouse and some updates coming out of Mickey's Toontown. We're going to break it all down up next. Hey everybody, welcome aboard to another episode of Orange Grove 55. I brought my good friend, collaborator, producer Dre, host of Freshly Squeezed. I brought Dre with me today to talk about Toontown and Tarzan's Treehouse. Dre, how are you today, sir?
Doing pretty good, you know. It's been an eventful morning, but I'm glad to finally get back into the magic. Into the original Magic Kingdom here at Disneyland and talk some Disneyland news, some Disneyland speculation. I love it. If you want to interact with me on Twitter, you can do that right there at VashSky. Best ways to interact with me. And hey, if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now, Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove. There you go. We're in. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I got to ask you, what is that jingle from?
That is the Magic Band, the Magic Band notification sound.
Oh,
so I've been trying to get that for a while, and I finally got a good quality copy of it. So that's what that is. You know, there you go, right there. That's what that is.
See, that's why I don't recognize it. I'm a Disneylander. I'm not familiar with that. Now I will be probably because we're getting Magic Bands.
That's the speculation, although we haven't gotten them yet. All right, well we'll do this one. There you go.
There we go.
More Disneyland centric.
So let's dive in. We have a couple great topics today. Mm-hmm. There was news yesterday, surprising news actually, that Tarzan's Treehouse is going to be no more. Well, at least in regards to the theme of Tarzan. They will be re-theming Tarzan's Treehouse to something else. Now, they didn't say exactly what it will be re-themed to, but Disney officials did confirm that the Treehouse is undergoing a renovation and it will reemerge with a new theme. Dre, overall thoughts, musings in regards to this announcement?
I'm not super surprised that a potential re-theme is in Tarzan's Treehouse. Or I guess the Treehouse's future, I should say, more accurately. Tarzan, I mean, yes, while I personally have fondness for not only that film, but of that theme as it currently exists, or as it currently existed back in 2021, yeah, like I like it, but at the same time, I can kind of understand it's not the most relevant franchise possible. And right. In the era of, Bob Chapek and relevancy when it comes to the theme parks, that has been an official edict from him. And I think that will cause maybe a reassessment of many of the themes associated with the theme parks currently. And I think what happened here was, if I had to theorize, the Treehouse goes down for a relatively benign refurbishment in September through, I believe the date was October 29th was when it was supposed to come back up. And I think that was partly motivated by the parks just kind of catching up on their originally scheduled refurbishment projects, ones that they couldn't get to, but were on the ledger for 2020 and beyond, right? And I think that's what that was. They go in there, and when you have the professionals in there with the carpenters and the woodworkers and everything like that, they go, oh God, this is going to be way more work than maybe originally planned. And I think a lot of that was because, well, it had been sitting in the sun and exposed to the elements with little maintenance or attention to it for 412 days. And I think the sun, dry rot, I think that had an impact on it. And once the scope of the work became realized, it was, okay, let's just put this on hold, because the amount of work that's going to be required just with the previous liquidity issues, I don't think that was gonna happen. So by the time that happens and by the time they're reassessing, well, things change in the studio division, right? And Kanto becomes a big success, right? There are some other projects that are kind of, bubbling up. And at that time, I think when it comes to, going back to the Treehouse and actually doing this work, it's like, well, if we're going to do all this, do we necessarily theme it back? Or does this provide us an opportunity to retheme? And I think that's where we stand today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the rumor right now. That's the top rumor right now with the Treehouse, is that it will be rethemed to Encanto.
Yeah.
Now the speculation is it would be centered around Antonio's room, the tree and all that. And I'd be fine with that. I'd be absolutely fine with that. I think it fits the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, well, does it really fit Adventureland? I think it does. I think it fits Adventureland just fine. Yeah. Adventureland has magic in it. We have the Enchanted Tiki Room. So it's kind of, that precedent has already been set, But we'll see. I don't know. It might not even be Encanto. Remember, we have a Swiss Family Robinson thing coming to Disney Plus. I don't know if that's a show or a movie. I'm not 100% on that. But that is coming, a reboot. If that's really successful, maybe it'll be that. I don't know. But I'm definitely bullish on Encanto, though. I think it's leaning towards Encanto. It's been a proven hit. The song, We Don't Talk About Bruno, has been going bonkers on the billboards and all that stuff. I'd be shocked if they didn't go with Encanto.
I'd be surprised as well. And some people kind of push back on the idea and say, well, Encanto deserves a lot more. And I'm not here to say that it does or doesn't, okay? An argument can definitely be made that it does deserve a lot more. But a lot of people are saying, well, it deserves its own right. You gotta think about that for a second, because do we really think that the Disney company of today is going to give a brand new ride just for Encanto? Likely not, as unfortunate as that might be. What will likely happen is, well, they'll retheme an already existing attraction to Encanto. That's probably the best we can probably hope for, at least in the short term,
right,
when these liquidity issues kind of work themselves out. Well, that's what we're getting here. We're getting everything. So,
right.
And that's not to say that they can't, later down the road, give the Encanto treatment to something else or a brand new attraction or whatever. But I think for the short term, and let's be fair, Disney's been a little bit short-term minded lately than maybe necessarily long term. I think this might not be a bad fit, and I think it would appease a lot of guests.
Yeah, it would. I think, you're right. Appease a lot of guests. There's been a growing fervor on social media. We want more Encanto. We want more Encanto. It reminds me a lot of like what we saw when Frozen became a real big hit. There was like this real push to get Frozen into the parks, and now we're kind of seeing that with Encanto. Now, ideally, I think that the Encanto franchise and even like Coco, that kind of Latin America themed kind of IPs, I think they work better, in my humble opinion, at California Adventure. California is very rooted in Latin culture. It's a huge part of California, massive part of California. And I think I would love to see more of like maybe a whole land dedicated to Latin culture, and have Encanto and Coco, and you could have like the street band, the bands and the music. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But like you said, Dre, I think that's for another day. I think that's probably something that would be like after Disneyland Forward, and they have some room to work with. So right now, with everyone kind of pushing for Encanto, this seems like a logical way to sort of kill two birds with one stone. Hey, we got to fix the Treehouse; it's falling apart, so we'll refurb it, and we'll put on and we'll retheme it to Encanto, which is a enormously popular IP right now. It fits Adventureland. Hey, everyone's happy. Everyone's happy.
Yes, I do agree with you. There's two factors to overcome, though. One is, ADA. So that might be that, because we have to understand, as when looking at all of the attractions at Disneyland currently, this is probably the most ADA unfriendly, which they can overcome. What they did with Sleeping Beauty Castle, right? So Sleeping Beauty Castles walk through. They have a virtual kind of tour that they have you go through, and people might think, well, where would that space exist near in and around the treehouse? Well, you could, hey, maybe dedicate some of the space that they took over for Indiana Jones Adventure. Maybe dedicate some of that space. I'm sorry, not Indiana Jones Adventure. Indiana Jones, their shop. All right. The shop that used to exist next to Bengal Barbecue, maybe take up some of that space and dedicate it for a virtual experience of the treehouse and what you might encounter, up there, so to speak. Then the other thing is, I guess they're removing the bridge, connection point between these two places, which I was actually able to find some photos of this. Jason Schultz on Twitter was kind enough to post these. So big shout out to him. Well, apparently, this is the construction of that tree right there, what you're looking at right there, that is in between this walkway that would provide the bridge to access Tarzan's treehouse. And you can see here, it was quite the construction project.
Wow.
And some of these walkways and so forth were removed or repurposed. So this is going to be extensive if you remove this bridge right here, because it was supposed to make up for the loss of some of these walkways. And now, you might have to put them back in order to give people access to the upper, branches of the treehouse itself. This might be a bigger project than any of us were initially expecting.
Well, no, 100%. And we had a conversation, you and I, Dre, yesterday on the phone, actually. And I think it was you who brought up a great point where it was, it's probably not a coincidence that the Treehouse project is coinciding with the Pirates project.
Yeah.
They're probably going to rework a lot of this area to accommodate the queuing for the Treehouse and Pirates and what have you. There's gonna be a lot of work done, I think. And it's all going to be kind of interconnected. I want to say this though. I really liked that whole bridge thing over the walkway of Adventureland. It added a lot to the whole area when you had people walking above you and the big trees, you walk under them. I thought it was really, really cool. And that's one of the awesome aspects I think of Disneyland, is that there's a lot of these elevation changes and little winding pathways, and it kind of adds to the charm and the magic, not to sound cheesy, but the magic of the land of Disneyland, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of the Walt Disney World parks suffer from that. It's a lot of just flat cement as far as the eye can see, right? And even DCA suffers a lot from that. It's flat, wide open cement. Disneyland is different in that regard, and I feel like they're systematically removing these little pieces of charm. And it kind of reminds me, to be quite honest with you, Dre, it's kind of like, you ever played Jenga as a kid?
Yes, I have played it once or twice.
You know that game where all the blocks, make up the tower, and you have to remove the block without having the whole thing come down, right?
Sure.
This is kind of the issue I'm kind of having with Disneyland, is that they're taking these little things, right? Okay, we're going to remove the walkway here. We're going to remove the curb. We're going to remove the bridge in Adventureland for the treehouse. Well, in and of itself, that one block isn't going to bring the whole thing down. But when you start to remove block after block after block after block, you start to really impact the charm of the land. Eventually, it comes crashing down, right? To kind of use kind of an analogy. And that's my kind of fear with this Project Stardust kind of thing they've been doing the past few years, is that piece by piece they're taking these little pieces of charm out of the park. And it just upsets me a little bit. I just want to see that a lot of that stay. I think that's what separates Disneyland from the Florida parks and even DCA are those little pieces, and to lose that in regards to just logistical crowd control, and it's sad. It sucks.
Yeah, and we'll go over how crowd control becomes a big issue when deciding anything for Disneyland nowadays. But I remember certain executives pitching us the idea about the reservation system and saying, "Hey, we won't overload the parks anymore. We won't have to worry about crowds anymore. We won't have to worry about all these things. Don't worry about it. We do the reservation system. It'll be fine. It'll be good for you guys, you know? But and yet we're down this path again, but even more so than we ever have because of some of the decisions that have been made by some of these executives. And I just gotta wonder, like you said, I mean, you're removing so much of this kind of charm that Disneyland's built up, carefully constructed and built up, over the last 65 plus years or so.
Yeah.
And once it's gone, it's gone, and yeah, I mean, yes, in the short term, or immediately, I should say, you'll be experiencing the effects of removing something like this. And yes, it is better for crowd control, but I remember always reading those old school Disneyland books, right? And the old school Disneyland books used to say, hey, you know what? You put in a pathway or you put in like a flower bed, like in the middle of a pathway, and yes, it's not as efficient, but it's twice as charming. Right, that was kind of the old adage back in the day. And when you remove all this stuff, yes, it's more efficient. But man, what are the costs? And it really is unfortunate because I really did like that bridge element.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really, really cool. I really liked it. So it's upsetting, but you know what? I'll have an open mind. I'll go into it. We'll see what they do with the area. It might look really, really great. We'll see what they do with it. But I like those little touches though, and it added kinetic energy in a weird way to Adventureland because you had the overhead, the movement of all the people on the overhead bridge, and you were surrounded by these big trees, and it just had this energy to it, and man, it'll be sad to see it go, but we'll see what they do with it.
It also added this kind of transition from Adventureland to Northern Square proper and stuff like that. And it's a sad point, but that's progress for you. I suppose we have another one of these.
Yes, we do.
Big moves here. So let's get into it.
We got big moves here. This is from MiceChat.com, who got a hold of these. I don't really know, and if you know, Dre, let me know. But I don't know how MiceChat got these aerial views.
I if I had to speculate, I believe the crew over there maybe knows maybe a helicopter pilot or two that could do this. Not so dissimilarly than maybe a certain friend to everybody on Disc Twitter, BioReconstruct, which has been providing amazing coverage, by the way, of all kinds of stuff in Florida.
No, absolutely. Well, these are phenomenal pictures, and MiceChat continuously hits home runs. I know Andy Castro's updates on Dateline Disneyland. I've been preaching to the top of the mountains with his photos, and now we got these aerial photos. And if you can see here, they've really dug into Toontown. I mean, the whole land, any kind of cement on the ground, the trolley station, this whole food court over here that was right, in front of the new Mickey and Minnie's.
The gazebo has been completely removed from that area. The trolley station, like you said, I think though, like the biggest thing that hurts me a little bit, not so much anything else, but those two fountains. They got rid of those two fountains, which I thought were freaking spectacular, and it's just that one hurts me myself personally.
That one does hurt. I do think it would be kind of cool though, because from what I understand, and I hope this doesn't get cut. Please, Disney, do not cut this. But from what I understand, there's actually going to be a fountain where the trolley station used to sit.
Right.
And that fountain will give kind of like a little mini World of Color kind of fountain show that lights up with LEDs and stuff like that. And I think that the loss of the two fountains to make way for that really cool kind of World of Color light kind of fountain in the middle will make up for that. Now look, here's the thing, it's not official till it's official, guys. So just because Disney said that's what they're doing doesn't mean it's going to happen. These cuts happen all the time. We've seen it before with other projects. I hope that's something that really does happen though, because I do think if we're going to lose two fountains, at least have this one that's going to be like extra cool, and it'll kind of make up for it. But yeah, I agree with you. I really liked, especially the Roger Rabbit fountain. I love Roger Rabbit. I'm sad when I see anything Roger Rabbit leave the parks. I think he's a great character. It's a great franchise. Disney had a lot of balls making that movie, because that was not even back then. That was a really risque kind of film, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%. That was a very risque film. And the subject of things that are more adult, let's say, and Disney has been in the news a lot lately. But I mean, even Mike Lesnar and Roy Disney, when they saw the finished product, it was like, "Ooh, you know what? Maybe we should release this under the Touchstone brand, and have a PG rating on it." And look, it was edgy. It was a huge risk. It was an amazing combination of kind of these Looney Tunes characters and Disney characters, which was not easy to pull off back in the day. And it's a great time capsule, and it's sad to see anything Roger Rabbit go, but alas, this is the way they want to go.
Yeah, and here's a close-up picture of the gazebo, or what's left of it.
Yeah.
The food court, all of this, everything in front of City Hall, it's gone.
Yep.
Absolutely gone. Going down a little further, this is where the Mickey statue used to sit in front of Mickey's house.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. Completely gone. This is where the Roger Rabbit fountain used to sit. Also completely gone. And look at these pictures where all the pavement is gone too.
Yeah.
We're getting all new pavement, all new,
those trolley tracks are removed, and they just decided to go ham.
Yeah. There's the trolley tracks. Now this is interesting. This is where Chippendale Treehouse used to be.
Right.
And you can see it's no longer there. They got rid of it.
Right. So this is the big one here. It looks like they might be also doing some work on Donald's place, on Goofy's place. Looks like they may be, redoing a little bit of the Gadget Go Coaster, which we already kind of previously theorized, and now we're kind of seeing. But this right here has got everybody talking, right? Because the potential ramifications or consequences from this, the potential upside from this is huge. Because I think we have talked about it on the show multiple times previously in the past, this can now finally possibly provide that connection piece between Toontown proper and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is right across the way there, and that is quite a big deal there. It's sad to see. I know, I believe his name is Jim Scholl, if I remember that correctly. Imagineer or Imagineer contractor on Diz Twitter, right? He has talked about how he, did a lot of design work for Chippendale's Treehouse, and how he was sad personally to see it removed and stuff like that. And I think you have a theory around that, around what might happen to the Treehouse.
I do. I don't know if there's any validity to it, but I know Disney does like to be resourceful, and especially in this new age with JPEG and stuff, I'm sure they're looking for ways to kind of make the most out of what they got. The concept art for this new kind of reimagining of Mickey's Toontown shows a Walt Disney, like, I think they call it a wishing tree.
They do.
Which is going to be placed kind of where the current Toon Park was, next to Goofy's house.
It is.
Really cool big tree, and there's gonna be like a grassy little knoll where people can sit, picnic, have a good time with their family, just kind of chill out. Look, they're removing the Chippendale Treehouse. I would not be surprised, and again, I could be totally wrong. This is my speculation. I wouldn't be surprised though if they took the at least the basic basic skeleton or whatever of that Chippendale Treehouse, and just sort of built upon that. When creating this Walt Disney wishing tree. I would be very surprised if they didn't do that. Now, they might not. I don't know. I don't know what this wishing tree is going to look like, if it's more involved than the Chippendale one, but they have a tree sitting there already that's already built. I would be shocked if they didn't just, obviously they're going to have to adjust it and repurpose it and add to it and all that stuff. I understand that you can't just plop it down as is. I wouldn't be surprised though if that's the base for what they use for that wishing tree. And I don't know. What do you think, Dre? You think that's a possibility that they kind of reuse that?
No, I think it's very possible. I mean, you have all the design work, you have all that amazing carving of that tree already. I'd be surprised if they didn't use it in some capacity, or kind of infuse its essence, so to speak, into this new tree. I would be very, very shocked if they didn't utilize that resource given that it's it's like, hey, if we're going to remove this anyway, we might as well make use of it. I'd be shocked and expect more of that kind of stuff as we get into this kind of value imagineering kind of modality that we're seeing from WDI going forward.
Yeah. Now you have something that you want me to share. This is in regards to the connection, the possible connection between Toontown and Galaxy's Edge, correct?
Yes, and I wanted to illustrate this point because some people have disagreed. Some people have said that this can't happen, and while I do respect those arguments immensely, here's how it can. Okay, and here's how why it might. But if you look right here, you're seeing the points between Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Chip 'n Dale's Treehouse Toontown, right? And if you notice, the current drop off for guests staying at at Galaxy's Edge East at the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, right? Where that is at Galaxy's Edge West lines up perfectly with that. You see this kind of this retaining wall right there. That's angled quite perfectly in almost the kind of a length of a path that you could put there. Right. And that right there, that's your key about how to get people, even without moving any of these buildings or anything, from Toontown to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And I've illustrated that right here. If you see that right there.
There you go.
That's how that works. That's how it can work. That entrance that has been in use ever since Galactic Star Cruiser has opened on the east side can be used on the west side in that same fashion. Right along that retaining wall as it's shown there, right alongside that building. And boom, right there. That's where these points could possibly connect. Now, you do have a maintenance road in there, right? But my thing is well, that maintenance road doesn't just extend from the top of the screen to the bottom. It actually goes all the way down to where Fantasyland meets Frontierland. And you can see those two doors on each side, right? That let in, that can open at will and can let in supplies or whatever else, right? You would have that same setup here. That's how that you could still facilitate that maintenance road and you wouldn't have to do anything. And honestly, this pathway wouldn't even have to be that ornate or decorated. It could just be temporary as things kind of develop for the rest of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. What do you think of that?
No, I think it's 100% possible. Look, this is a thing. This is a trend I've seen with a lot of like Disney park fans, which is, I don't know. It's funny to me, but like they sort of have this mindset of like, no, that's impossible. That's impossible. Can't do it. There's a building there. Can't do it.
Yeah.
And look, I understand the real world exists. I understand there are physical limitations to anything. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But if I were to approach these same people a decade ago and said, well, you know what? I want Disney to build a 15-acre Star Wars land behind the rivers of America, we would have essentially got the same argument. You can't do that, Orange Grove. You can't do that because of reasons. Because, there's buildings back there that Disney needs, and you don't understand, Orange Grove. That's the thing. And look, Disney did it, right? They found a way. They moved things. They adjusted things. Same goes for Mickey Minnie Runaway Railway. Mm-hmm. Oh, but Orange Grove, there's a costume thing behind there. You can't move that building. Well, yeah, apparently you can. Apparently exactly what the hell they did when they moved it. And look, this is all malleable. They can adjust anything they want. If they want to happen, they're going to do it. Now, look, it's in Disney's interest to have some sort of connection path from Toontown to Galaxy's Edge. It improves the flow of traffic. It gets people moving. It's look, even monetarily, they can even add like Dre shows here with the walkway. They can even add ODV carts, outdoor vending along the way, selling you stuff as you walk through. Right? There's all kinds of benefit to this. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I have to bring it on another show that we do, and I'll research. I have a photo actually of the building that's red. That the pathway would actually come into Galaxy's Edge.
Yes,
it actually is. I believe, from what I understand, it's like a gate right there, or a door, or something to that effect.
Oh, okay.
I will. I'm gonna try to find that on my phone because it actually looks pretty cool. It's like a first order kind of thing. I'll try to find it. And I'll bring it up in another video so we can kind of break that down. But you're right. I think they built Galaxy's Edge with the idea that eventually there would be a connector.
Absolutely.
Eventually there would be a connector, and all this talk about this is impossible. You can't do it. You can't do it. I've been saying for years, nothing's impossible, man. And when Disney wants to do something, they're going to do it. And even going back even further, you can even say about like Hollywood Tower of Terror. You could have said the same thing about that. Oh, well, you know what? The Tower of Terror in Florida just has too big of a footprint. There's no way you can fit that in Anaheim. Well, they found a way to fit it, right? They redesigned it to fit it in Anaheim. So never say never. And this pathway is not a hard thing for Disney to do. And I think it's definitely on the table. Absolutely. Are we saying that it's going to happen for sure? No, we're not. But there's a good chance. And they've definitely considered it in the past, I believe. Well,
and look, just to end off your point, hey, I remember I think his name was like Walt Disney, and I remember him saying it's kind of fun to do the impossible. Okay. So, it's look, let's not poo-poo that notion. They do impossible stuff all the time. And here's why they might do something like this. Here's a map that I want to put up, featuring this is the bulk of Disneyland, right? We can see pretty much all the way from like Hungry Bear to Haunted Mansion area, all the way to Small World, right? Diagonal, okay. The parts highlighted in red are the current pinch points at Disneyland. Some of the worst that afflict Disneyland, but cross-referenced, juxtaposed with the pinch points that would be affected directly by a connection between Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toontown. A lot of these would be alleviated a lot if you just provided that traffic, because right now people might have to double back, as you see below right there. If you're going from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to Toontown, then you're going to have to go through Fantasyland, which we know is a huge pain in the butt right now, especially as it butts up right against the parade route and stuff like that. You're having these problems now. Now, envision in your mind, think about it. You're going to add a brand new e-ticket attraction that's been hyped up for 4 years. At the same time, you're debuting pretty much a whole new land from scratch. Demand is going to be an issue. And they have these problems that you're seeing on your screen now. They might have a decision to be made here. Go ahead, OG.
No, and you're 100% correct. And it even ties into what we just talked about with Tarzan's Treehouse. Mm-hmm. They are making moves to remove the bridge for logistical reasons, to have more flow. If it didn't benefit Disney in any way to have that flow in these parks, why are they spending the money to do it all over the place with the Treehouse, with the curbs? They've been doing this for years now, systematically removing things and widening these walkways. They do it because it helps them. Obviously, this walkway, this pathway, this proposed connector between Toontown and Galaxy's Edge is in the same vein as what they've been doing for years in this park. Yes. They want better flow. It helps them. They want it to happen. So it's not impossible. It's absolutely on the table. And I think we're on the same page with that. I mean, it's definitely on the table. And maybe it won't happen right away. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what that will look like, but it's on the table for sure. They're considering it.
It absolutely is on the table. If nothing else, just for the operations of it alone. Like you said, like you're getting rid of the kind of bridge extension area for Tarzan's Treehouse, and all of the areas on your street, all of them would be affected in some significant way, whether it be small or large, by that one connection point between Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toontown. This is a no-brainer operationally, and you wouldn't have to spend that much money to do it, quite honestly. I wouldn't expect the most themed route between those two, right? Because I think they want that area in flux for when, because at that point is an expansion pad between those two lands. So I do think they want to keep it kind of flexible, but expect these things to be connected. I might just put money on it right now.
Yeah, no, they will. It's going to happen, and we've seen a trend lately in recent years, and even just literally just the story we had right before this one with the Treehouse, of them systematically removing things to open up walkways and what have you. Right. it's something that they're interested in, and that would be a huge that would alleviate a lot of issues if they were to do that. Yeah, I would probably be right there with you betting money, Dre, right there on the table.
I think so. I think so. I think it's big. I think it's big. Toontown, that entrance, that one kind of access point back and forth, that I don't think that's sustainable, especially in the long term. So I think that might be up for discussion. But what's also up for discussion? A little item going on in Florida.
Yes. And we're gonna dive into this. We have a video coming out, I think Thursday, right, Dre? Like Thursday.
Yeah, we're Thursday, somewhere around there. Yes, that's correct.
Thursday, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have the family man on here. We're gonna talk some Florida Reedy Creek, because today was a big news day with Florida. Right? Go ahead and set the table. We'll dive into it just a little bit here. We've got kind of a teaser for Thursday.
A little bit here. So, as you know, Governor Ron DeSantis and Disney have been kind of back and forth lately, and not on the greatest of terms. But we had mentioned in previous shows that the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which is where Walt Disney World sits on right now, might be up. It might be in jeopardy. The legislature has been looking into the possibility of actually removing it, and we've gone back and forth in terms of what we might think might happen. Well, one of the impediments to that process from actually occurring has been the requirement for a special session to be called. Well, this morning, Governor DeSantis called a special session to look at all special districts before 1968. Well, the Reedy Creek Improvement District was established in 1967, so you know exactly what they're looking at. Yeah. And they're going to be reassessing or possibly even dissolving such special districts, depending on what happens actually in the legislature. So we might get one of the...
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
We might get that come in a couple days here.
It's wild. It's wild. And Dre and I have two different opinions on this. I mean, we're, on some of it, we're on the same page. On some other stuff, we're not. Like personally, I think it's kind of a hasty decision. I think it could really impact Walt Disney World a whole lot. In my opinion, I think that once you start to the most attractive thing about Florida is the flexibility and they don't have the same tax situation as here in California and what have you. I think once you start to insert more of that in, it might not be on par with California, but just putting more of that red tape in, more taxes, you're slowly de-incentivizing. Dre, you have a different kind of overall thought on this?
I do, and to hear my thoughts, well, you're going to have to tune in Thursday and find out what's going on right there. So, gotta leave you guys hanging. I'm sorry, gotta leave you guys hanging. It's
that was the cliffhanger of the century, man. That was good. That was good.
Trust me, I have many thoughts you want to tune in that show, folks. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be fun talking shop about this because this is a fascinating conversation. It's big news, and it's going to be fun having Disney Family Man on here with us talking too. He's our resident Florida guy. So Thursday, look for that video, and we'll dive into it in depth. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I want to thank you all for joining us today in regards to Toontown, the update for that, and the Treehouse, formerly known as Tarzan Treehouse.
that was great. That was fantastic. Well, on that note, kids, if you want to talk to me on Twitter, it's been pretty interesting the last couple of days. Actually, you could do that at VashSky on Twitter, right there, just like it's spelled. And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now. Please subscribe because that one you want to subscribe. Okay, let me just put it that way. It's going to be freshly squeezed. You know what it is. Your source for juice, news, info squeezed fresh right from the grove.
But really nothing compares with a freshly squeezed.
I agree, Woo. Nothing compares to a freshly squeezed.
Yes, and thank you all for watching. Thank you. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on the Treehouse? What are your thoughts on Toontown? What are your thoughts on our upcoming video this upcoming Thursday in regards to the DeSantis Reedy Creek thing? This is going to be a huge video, big topic to discuss. We want to hear from you. Comment down below. Share the video if you can. We do appreciate each and every like, each and every share. It means the world to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, may the force be with you.